Guys, I know yesterday we said we were going to move on to some more work on bounds and some more contextual and exam type questions, but I just thought that we would really benefit from some more work on significant figures because I think some people were a little bit unsure on it yesterday, and I'm reluctant to dive into more bounds questions without just covering over this real quick. So I don't think it'll be too hard a lesson. I think mostly we'll pick it up fairly quickly, but yeah, I think it'll benefit everybody anyway. So to start with, we're going to have a look at, if I just get my pen right, there we go. We're going to have a look at rounding these numbers to one significant figure. So to begin with, we're just rounding these to one significant figure. So what that means is the first number, if we think about our place value, the first number we see that is above 0, that will be our first significant figure. So in this case, the first significant figure is, I'm going to use a different color actually for first significant figure. Let's say I'm going to use, I don't know, let's use yellow. Let's use yellow, why not? So the first significant figure here is 4 because it's the first one along. So we'll label that as 1. So that's our first significant figure. Then everything that follows it, we have to round to it. So we look at the next number. The next number is a 5. So because it's a 5, it means we have to round up, doesn't it? So for the first one, which is 4,596, first significant figure is the 4, which represents 4,000. But because the next number along in the place value is a 500, we round up. So this to one significant figure is 5,000. Okay. Next up, our next number is 137,894. We still follow the same system. We find the first figure along that isn't a 0, so is higher than 0. And in this instance, it's a 1 here, but this 1 obviously represents 100,000, doesn't it? Because that's 137,894. We follow the same system. So we look to the next number, which is a 3. Because the 3 is less than 5, we know we've got to round down. So 137,894 rounded to the first significant figure would give us 100,000. Next up, this one's a little bit different. We've got 0.00236. In this instance, because we're looking for the first significant figure, which once again is the first number above 0 that comes as we work our way along the place value. It can't be this 0, because obviously the first 0 can't be a significant figure. It can't be this one. It can't be this one. So it must be this 2. This 2 here, which is in the tenths, hundredth, the thousandths column, is our first significant figure. So 2 thousandths is our first significant figure. Again, we look to the next one along, which is a 3. So we know we're going to round down. So this number to the first significant figure would give us 0.002 because we've rounded down, haven't we? And then finally, we've got 8,076. Same as the previous ones, we find our first number higher than 0, that'll be our first significant figure, and that is 8, isn't it? But this obviously represents 8,000. Again, we look to our next number, which is this 0. Because it's a 0, everything else is going to round down. So this rounds down to 8,000. Okay? At this point, guys, I want you to pause the video. I want you to think to yourself, how much do I understand this? If you're thinking, yeah, I'm green light, I want to go ahead and have a go, please begin task 1. And then once you finish task 1, come back to this video. So pause it now and go away and do task 1. If you're a bit unsure, you've got 2 options. If you're like, I just want to see this explanation again, rewind the video and watch it again, not a problem. But if not, I will be in a drop-in session like as I speak now, hopefully, if you're doing the lesson at the time of the lesson time. But if not, I'll be in a drop-in session around 1 o'clock when we'd have our usual lesson. So feel free to drop in there if you have any other questions. But if not, pause the video, go away, do task 1, and come back and play it once you've done task 1. Okay, welcome back. Now we're going to have a look at two significant figures. Okay, so the main difference here is previously when we were looking at our first significant figure, that would have been the 4 as previously discussed. But in this case, we're going to look for our second one, which in this case would be this 5, wouldn't it? So 4,596 in this case would be the 5. This is our second significant figure in the number. We know this because it's above 0 and we've had our first significant figure beforehand, haven't we? So in this case, everything that follows the 5, we must then round either up or down, not rounding either the 5 or the numbers previous, of course. So in this case, because it's a 9 that follows it, we'd have to round up, wouldn't we? So 4,596 rounded to the second significant figure would give us 4,600. Okay. Moving on to the next one. Once again, we follow the same system. We find our first significant figure. There's our first. We then look to the next number, which is the 3 or 30,000. That is our second significant figure. Again, we know this because we've had a significant figure previously in the number, and this number is above 0. And then we can put our little marker there again. So this is our second significant figure. So we know everything that follows it, we must round either up or down. Once again, we look to the first number after it. That's a 7. So we know we're going to be rounding up, don't we? So in this instance, 137,894 would round to 140,000 to two significant figures. Okay. Next up, this one's slightly different once again. Again, we find our first significant figure again, because we can't find our second one without finding our first one. Can it be this 0? No, because the first significant figure cannot be a 0. So it cannot be this one either. It can't be this one. There's our first one, same as last time, which means that the 3 that follows it must be our second significant figure. Okay, so we'll put our little placeholder in again like this. There we go. Once again, once we've found our second significant figure, which in this case is represented by this 3, we then look at the numbers that follow it and decide whether we're going to round up or whether we're going to round down. So because it's a 6 that follows it, we know we're going to round up, which means that this number, which is 0.00236, will round up to two significant figures, resulting in 0.0024. Okay? And this final one is a very, very important one. Because, as I've said, zeros cannot be the first significant figure, but they can be another significant figure following the first one. So, for example, for this one, 8,076, 8 is clearly the first significant figure, but our second significant figure is the 0 that follows, this one right here. So we have to put our place value in here, or placeholder, sorry. Put our placeholder in there, and again, we follow the same system. We look at the next number and we decide whether we're going to round up or whether we're going to round down. So because that's a 7, we have to round up, don't we? So in this case, that 8,076 will round up to 8,100. Okay? At this point, guys, what I would like you to do is I would like you to, again, assess how you feel about rounding to two significant figures. If you're thinking green light, I want to go do a load of questions, go and do task 2. If you want to rewatch the video, feel free to watch the video again and then, make another decision at the end of that. If you're thinking, wow, I really don't understand this, again, there's a drop-in session around lunchtime. I'll post the time on Show My Homework. I'm sure it's already on there. But yeah, feel free to join me and we'll go through some questions. That is not a problem. That's what I'm there for, okay? But after that, if you do finish task 2, there are also some exam style questions involving significant figures. And once again, have a go at those. If you have any questions on those, join me in the drop-in session. But apart from that, thanks for listening. Do your best, work hard, and I will see you on Monday, if not in the drop-in session.